Hello, YouTubers. Welcome back to another segment of Ben Talking Games. I am Ben,
I'm Tommy.
and we're going to talk about a game. Surprise, surprise.
Aeon's End.
Aeon's End. Aeon's End is a deck building game. In case you're unfamiliar with the concept, you are building a deck through the course of the game. Surprise, surprise there as well. It's a cooperative game, though, so you're playing together as these, they're called breach mages. The game is set in a semi-new type of fantasy world. What's essentially happened is civilization, humanity has been forced underground, and you've created a stronghold. And you are these wizards in charge of protecting the stronghold from all these massive monsters and evils and whatnot. So over the course of the game, you're going to choose a nemesis that you're going to be fighting. The base game comes with 4 nemesis, and then you'll be adding more through expansions and whatnot. And then you also choose your breach mage or your wizard. There's a selection of 8 in the base game, once again adding more through expansions. And with these, you're going to be fighting the nemesis, which is this massive monster. So the game is played over a series of rounds in which you will be adding cards to your deck, both enabling you to buy more and better cards, also allowing you to perform special actions that you can trigger at will, and most importantly, prepping spells, allowing you to attack the bad guy and all his minions. The game ramps up. There are 3 levels of difficulty as the game progresses, a level 1, level 2, and level 3. And so the game will get more and more difficult as you, as breach mages, become stronger and stronger. What sets this game apart is there's a number of differences from other deck building games. One is you don't shuffle your deck. You just flip it over. Also, the turn structure is completely random. For the number of players, you'll be adding player cards in along with the nemesis card, and then you'll be flipping these over, giving you a semi-random turn order from round to round, which is quite interesting. But most importantly, the game is it's cooperative. You're fighting together, you're working together. Each of you are asymmetrical in the abilities that you have, as well as your starting hand. And if you can survive through the entire nemesis deck, you win the game. And if you destroy the nemesis, you win the game. But should Gravehold fall and lose all of its health, you lose, or all of the breach mages become exhausted, losing all their health, you lose. And that's it. You're playing cooperatively, fighting together to win or lose together as a team.
Aeon's End.
Aeon's End.
Kind of been putting this one off for a while.
You have. I've been wanting to play it. I think I brought it to your place a number of times. I've suggested it here at my place, and you have been putting it off. Now that you say that, I feel that
I have, yeah.
You've been avoiding it, dodging it.
And you know, to some extent I have, and I don't think it necessarily has to do with the artwork, which you said initially that received quite a bit of...
Yes. If you've missed it, there was a recent Kickstarter that should be fulfilling soon of a standalone expansion as well as a redone base game with new artwork. Mine, though, is the first edition with the...
I like the artwork.
It's not bad, no.
No, it's unique. I didn't think it was terrible. I don't know why
I think the graphic design
there was so much controversy. I suppose...
They were kind of picking out a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of got a Crossfire...
kind of an older card game.
Yeah, like I don't know if you've played the Crossfire.
No, the actual deck building.
Yeah,
game? I have not.
I think I played it a long time ago, but anyway, it's kind of got that same aesthetic to it, where it looks like an older game, which I don't think, you shouldn't dock it points for that. No. I think it plays well. The art is fine. I just cooperative. We've been over this. Not a cooperative fan.
Not your forte.
Deck building, probably one of my least favorite mechanics.
That is true.
And indie boards and cards, I haven't
found anything I catch.
Been enamored with them ever. Really.
Fair
I liked Coup when I played it first, and I liked the Resistance, but I think there are other games that I would rather play that fill that same niche. Now, this is kind of what I was expecting it to be. I enjoyed the game. I did. And I don't want you to think that I didn't like the game.
I'm offended. I'm hurt.
But, well, and it was... There were some things I wish it had done a little better.
Yeah?
Right? Okay, so you have this interesting mechanic of a deck builder that you don't shuffle. That's
it's unique. There's
unique, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm unaware of any other games that do that.
But you have this mechanic where you can essentially stack your deck, right? You're discarding cards in the order that you want so that you can draw them pretty much when you want to. But I feel like that falls a little short.
It's not as manageable as you might go into it thinking. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, cool, like I can get my deck and stack it and have these massive turns, and really, kind of plan things out better, because a lot of times deck building is random. You get good hands, you get bad hands.
My biggest...
It's making the most of each hand is what makes it an interesting game. But I thought this would be different, because there's even, unlike some deck builders, not all, but you can keep cards in your hand and draw fewer cards up to your hand limit, whereas a lot of games require you to discard any unused cards as well. So once again, giving you that idea of, creating the ultimate hand, but it's tough. It doesn't play like that.
No, and, well, I think this game does a better job of culling your deck than most other deck builders. Right?
Uh-huh.
You play most deck builders and it's like, hey, I get to call my deck once. You're like discarding a card every 18
every couple
rounds.
You get one card every few turns that will let you get rid of one
At the
card.
end of the game, I had 9 cards in my deck and you start with 10.
Yeah.
And in order to do any kind of effectiveness, you have to be buying cards. So it's not like I immediately called my deck once and I was done. No, I bought quite a few cards.
You ended with very few of the cards you started with.
Yeah.
If any.
Right. I think I had just that one special card my guy got.
That was probably the only one.
And every turn it was like, I'll play 4 and then I'll draw 4, and that was my turn. And then next turn I knew that I was going to be getting
you got a
those
very
cards.
lean deck.
Yeah.
Granted, the game is there's quite a bit of variety in the cards that you set up. You have a random market, very much like Dominion, where there's a number of a certain type of card, and you'll be swapping those out in every game, giving you a random and different setup. And so it could be that the game we play, I know there are a couple cards that allowed you to have that cull effect. It'd be interesting to see if we just had a very heavy game in that aspect. But I see what you mean. It definitely gave you that opportunity, which is something you took advantage of and I didn't.
Yeah. No,
So,
my deck was efficient. It was
Mine
deal damage.
wasn't efficient. That's what he's saying. His was efficient and mine
you also were required to discard cards you didn't really want to.
And see, that's another thing that's really cool about this game is it gives you the option. It's not so much like, A player takes A and B player it says collectively as a team decide A or B.
Right.
And a lot of the times it was most beneficial for me to lose cards or to take some effect, allowing you to maintain.
Because at that point, it would have made me
almost.
I wouldn't have been able to do anything.
You would have been very weak. You'd put yourself in a difficult position.
I did, but I mean, it was effective for my turns. But whenever it came time to decide who got hit,
I was the punching bag.
It was you. You were the punching bag.
But I think that's cool. That is the type of cooperation that makes it different than some. A lot of the times, you're working together to a common goal, but you don't have that decision space all the time. This provided an open environment for discussion and decisions amongst the players. To what end is who better at taking what. And a lot of that also stems, I think, from the turn order. That provides an amount of cooperation that isn't always in games, because a lot of times you can have the alpha gamer, right? Something that you maybe fall
I do
to sometimes.
I do, and that's one of the reasons I don't like co-ops.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I think that the game was good for what it is, right?
Okay.
As a cooperative deck building, 2 mechanics that I do not enjoy, I'll play the game again.
You're not... Okay.
I'm not totally, opposed to playing the game. I don't think I loved the game. It'd be interesting to play some different monsters.
Different monsters, different hands, different
play
characters.
Different characters and see what the other cards are. But, I mean, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed the game. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but solid 6.5, 7 maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe even up to a 7.5. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was interested in this because I had Sentinels of the Multiverse, some game that I found early on in my gaming career, and I fell in love with it. I love the asymmetrical play from the players, the cooperative nature. But as I became more involved in the hobby, I found its flaws. Not to any Sentinels of the Multiverse lovers out there. But it's you have a stagnant deck you start the game with, you're drawing cards and playing the best of your abilities. It's very fiddly as you're fighting the different guys. And I wanted something that would replace that. And I feel like I got that in Aeon's End. There aren't a ton of cards. To be honest, this is a huge box.
Yeah, no,
and
so few cards.
There's maybe a couple hundred, 300, 350 cards. There's not a ton.
If that.
Yeah. But it does randomization. It does variability very well. The different characters you can choose from all have different starting hands, different starting cards.
Yeah.
They have a starting ability. The different nemesis play differently. They have their own decks that get shuffled into a basic deck that resolves differently in each age, with different cards coming out between games, and then you have the random setup of the market. So I feel like I got something very variable with that cooperative nature that I enjoyed so much from Sentinels, but with an actual strategic gameplay tacked on.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. It's not
game.
going to shatter anyone's world, but if you're looking for a fun cooperative deck builder, in line maybe with something like Legendary Marvel or Legendary Encounters, I think this is a great alternative. Something with a fantasy theme. So,
Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.